Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, there you are. Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday, the 9th of August, and this is the weekend on GB News. We've got a packed show coming up for you, so you don't want to move a muscle. The Prime Minister is going on tour, like a rock star, Yeah, he's preparing to tour the nation, wanting to hear what we, the great British public, really thinks. But could it all be a bit smoke and mirrors and a little bit egotistical, or will Burnham put his money where his mouth is in a bid to get Britain's mojo back, and will he be flogging merchandise? And that there Andy Burnham, him again, is also said to be considering a U-turn on the early release of PC Harper's Killers from prison by blocking the early release of killers of emergency service workers. And this one will annoy you. It's been reported Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly known as Prince, despite being stripped of his royal titles last year, is reportedly still going to get a royal ceremonial funeral when the time comes. And guess who's going to pay for it? Yep, so we're asking, should Andrew get a royal funeral? And this one will really annoy you. A Scottish Green migrant MSP, who was elected while holding a student visa, has come under fire after claiming rape is a bit of a spectrum and that we tend to demonise rapists. I'm not even making this up anymore. Stay tuned for the details on that one. And if you're a mum, dad, grandparent, this one might annoy you as well. 1/3 of British families believe that mum and dad should never stop paying for the family trip. So should parents and indeed grandparents pay for the family holiday with their adult children? We'll have a debate on that one. And are you excited about the solar eclipse? I'm interested, to be honest with you. Well, stay tuned to find out when, where and how to get the best view of the first solar eclipse to be visible across the country this century. And this bloke ain't going away either, is he? Yeah, Infantino. FIFA has hit out at what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine the organisation and its president, Gianni Infantino. I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is The Weekend. So thank you for your company this Sunday lunchtime. I hope you're having a lovely day out there. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And I hope you are getting some chill time. Getting some time where if you're lucky enough to be, whether the weather's good, you're sitting in the back garden with your feet up, maybe in a cold beer or something or other. Or if you're maybe further up north in Scotland where it's a bit grimmer, you're nice and cosy in your living room, feet up on the settee, keeping me company with a nice cup of tea. Or something stronger. It's up to you. It's a Sunday lunchtime. Because this show is indeed all about you. So I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're doing. And I want to know what you're thinking about some of the amazing stories we're covering today. Some of them not even I could make up, and I'm a tabloid journalist. OK, gbnews.com/your say is a way to get in touch, or you can scan the QR code thingy on your screens now. But we have got an amazing show coming up, so I'd better shut up rambling and you can get the news headlines.
Very good afternoon to you. 3 minutes past 1. Let's get you up to date with the headlines. Andy Burnham will set off on a tour of the UK tomorrow in an effort to improve the government's connection with the public. Downing Street says he'll be in listening mode when the Prime Minister asks people how he can improve their lives. Mr Burnham's expected to announce policies to tackle the cost of living and to set out how he will improve the country's high streets. He has already announced cuts to energy costs and a £2 cap on bus fares. That was during his first week in office. FIFA has denounced what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine President Gianni Infantino. It follows claims surrounding his conduct while at UEFA and his failed plan to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. Mr Infantino denies European football's governing body gave an alleged mistress a six-figure severance payment while he was General Secretary, saying the allegations are categorically untrue. One of the world's most wanted men is due to arrive in Ireland this afternoon after being extradited from Dubai. The Irish government jet has left the United Arab Emirates carrying the boxing promoter Daniel Kinahan back. He'll stand trial in Dublin for allegedly directing the activities of an organised crime gang. He's accused of international drug trafficking and firearms offences. The Irish Prison Service bought a bullet and bomb-proof van in advance of his extradition, which is usually used to escort prisoners considered high risk. Dozens of asylum seekers are expected to arrive in the UK later as the surge in small boat crossings continues. More than 300 illegal migrants have already arrived in Dover over the weekend. A number of boats were launched off the coast of Dunkirk this morning. At least 2,500 asylum seekers have reached the UK since Andy Burnham came to power last month. The Defence Secretary Wes Streeting has urged Western allies to boost Ukraine's air defences before winter, when Vladimir Putin, he says, will use the cold conditions as a weapon. The governor of Kharkiv says 2 people have been killed and 27 injured in a Russian strike on an apartment building in the northern city, while at least 8 people were injured when missiles and drones struck residential buildings in Odessa, where fires broke out in the historic city centre. Meanwhile, 3 people have been reported dead and 25 injured in a Ukrainian drone attack on the Russian city of Belgorod. The American blogger and gossip journalist Perez Hilton is understood to be in a serious but stable condition in hospital. Emergency services were called to his home in Miami on Tuesday after members of the public reported him live streaming acts of self-harm after seeing him covered in blood with cuts across his arms and torso. A statement on the 48-year-old's website says his treatment and recovery will be a long process. Drought's likely to be declared across more of the UK as the country braces for a 5th heatwave this year. No significant rain is expected, meaning dry conditions will continue for many, as temperatures could reach 35 degrees by the middle of next week. Yellow heat health alerts will be in force and will last until Tuesday evening. Finally, a group of scouts on a camping trip near Bristol were unexpectedly recruited to help land a hot air balloon yesterday. The first Beddow scout group had just arrived at their site in Tockington when the pilot called on the boys for assistance. 13 scouts used a rope to help deflate the balloon so it could reach the ground. It was one of 50 balloons taking part in a mass ascent during the Bristol International Balloon Fiesta on Saturday. That's it for the moment. More coming up for you in about 25 minutes.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Aaron, and thank you so much for your company. And hello to everybody who's really getting in touch, especially Mary. Hi, Mary. Please stay with me, Mary. You don't need to go out just yet. A couple of hours on the sofa. Just relax, put your feet up. Anyway, gbnews.com/your say and get in touch. OK, now let's talk about the UK tour of our latest rock star. Andy Burnham. Yeah, there are reports that Andy Burnham is examining whether to block the release of all prisoners responsible for the death of emergency services worker, ensuring PC Andrew Harper's killers remain behind bars. The Prime Minister has also been presented with an alternative plan to block the release of all prisoners guilty of manslaughter, but there are concerns the number of prisoners convicted for the crime would place too much pressure on an overcrowded prison system. That's the ongoing story, right? We've been talking about that for, it feels like a long time now. However, the news story today, and I love this one, is that Andy Burnham, our new Prime Minister, fresh back from holiday, has announced that he is setting off on a nationwide listening tour this week, where he will ask the public how the government can bring down the cost of living. Now, there's two sides to this. Is this sort of like Andy Burnham, bit egotistical, it has to be said, going on a tour, sort of like being Andy Burnham, maybe flogging dark blue / black merchandise T-shirts? Or is it genuinely getting out of that Westminster bubble and talking to punters, talking to the voters, talking to us about what we really want and what we're struggling with? The question is then, though, is will he actually listen? And okay, let's talk to a leader of the London Conservatives in the London Assembly, Susan Hall. Susan, good to see you. I can see both sides of why Andy Burnham has announced this tour this morning. What do you make of it?
Well, actually, he should be listening to what we're saying now, as in come up with some decision over these wretched people being allowed out of prison. There is no way the killers of Andrew Harper should be allowed out. So sort that out and sort that out quickly. I was amazed he went off on holiday, but that's a whole other story. We're over 3 trillion in debt, so growing the economy is essential. He's been listening to the voters in order for him to get selected back into Parliament. So he knows what we're all saying. They're all saying to him, stop the votes. So he's got big things to get on with, and he's not getting on with that. He'd rather go round with God knows how many film crew and social media types and get lots of photo opportunities. He's now the Prime Minister. He's got to deal with these big problems, and that's, first of all, sorting out these so-and-sos that are in prison and finding a way to make sure that we've got growth. And putting national insurance money up on employers was the most ridiculous thing his predecessor did. So hopefully he'll look to address that. But I mean, there's so many things he knows he's got to do. But, you know, it's all about PR, isn't it? And him being seen everywhere.
Do you think this is more ego over actually knuckling down and getting things done, Susan?
Well, it is. It's also dodging scrutiny all over the place, isn't it? I mean, you know, some people may be swayed by these pictures of him saying, is it a bread roll? Is it a bap? Is it whatever? But most of the public are not stupid. And this is going to wear very thin very quickly, I would have hoped.
And we don't know the tour itinerary yet. We don't know where he's going to be going to, but you have to wonder whether he'll be going to places like Thetford or Piddington or Bicester, Crowborough, Epping, Southport, these places where he might face a little bit of a rough reception.
Yeah, a very rough reception. But I suspect, as is normally the case with prime ministers, before they go anywhere, there's a massive recce goes on with their people that work for them, to make sure that they're safe, which is fair enough, but also to see the sort of people that he'll meet. So, you know, it's all staged. It's about time he sat down with some very, very serious journalists and said what he thinks he wants to do. He's always wanted to be Prime Minister. I mean, what is it with these Labour politicians? They want to be in charge. Great, there's nothing better than being in charge, but at least have a damn plan. None of us know what his plans are. You know, he's got some serious problems to sort out in this country, and swanning around, you know, in front of a camera the whole time isn't going to get anything resolved.
Yeah, I mean, Susan, I would say that, you know, it is nice that we do have prime ministers actually getting out and about, and in his defence, and talking to people, you know, actually getting out into constituencies. Obviously, his MP should be telling him what's going on, but, you know, he wants to do it himself. I get that. I would have said all of that had I not read this morning about the man in charge of Number 10 North, Sam Lister, a very key aide to Andy Burnham. actually is still living in a £2.2 million Islington townhouse. Islington, very posh area of North London, by the way. You know, that North London lovey elite. He's still living there. He intends to carry on living there. And we're going to pay his commuting fares for the performance art that is basically number 10 North.
Oh, it's all too ridiculous. He came in, he knew the problems that were there because he saw how badly Starmer was doing. He should have come in with an idea of how to deal with it. Setting up another office, you know, employing loads and loads of PR people. That's not what we want. You go down to Morrison's or Sainsbury's or Tesco's, wherever. You'll see people thinking, how much is that cost? How much is my shopping bill going up? People are really struggling, you know, and all he wants to do is to get himself about and loads of media bits and pieces, which is fine, but he's got a big job to do, Dawn, and he needs to be getting on with it.
Susan, on another side, it will give him an opportunity to do more TikTok videos. We believe he's up to about 35 in the over 2.5 weeks he's been in office. The latest one, can we have a quick look at that one?
Andy Burnham is introducing a switch into this electrical circuit to represent the circuit breaker entering UK politics, innit? You done know.
When I stood outside Downing Street, I said we needed a circuit breaker.
Right, Susan. So, as you know, apart from talking about BAPS and blokey football, which he's done, he's now talking about being a circuit breaker. That does sound a little bit egotistical.
Yeah, it is. I went on the feed to have a look at it, and underneath it, I think I looked at Twitter. No, I might have looked at TikTok. I don't know. There are comments from people calling him Andy Pandy, but also saying sort out the early release system, which is what I've said to you, because that's what is on people's minds. National debt, sort out these boats coming in. He knows the big problems. He doesn't have to ask everybody because we're all saying the same, sort out the cost of living. So perhaps he should roll his sleeves up and instead of thinking how he'd look good in a black or a blue T-shirt or whatever he wants to do, perhaps he should concentrate on actually doing his job, which is Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, wise words indeed. Susan, thank you so much. We have more opinion coming up later on the show in this story. That is, for now, though, leader of the London Conservatives in the London Assembly, Susan Hall. Obviously, the most important opinion on this is you, gbnews.com/your say. If your town, village, city is going to be part of Andy Burnham's sort of like UK tour, what would you want to ask him? What would you say to him? And don't you think he should know what you're going to ask him? Kind of do. In any case, let's move on, shall we? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is reportedly still in line for a royal ceremonial funeral, despite being stripped of his titles over the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The former Duke of York is said to remain on a secret government list of royals entitled to a high-profile send-off. But should he still get a royal funeral paid for by us? It's an interesting debate. Joining us now is historian and specialist in royal protocol and ceremonies, Rafe Hadel-Manku, and royal commentator Jack Stokes. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday lunchtime. Rafe, this is the front page of the Mail on Sunday today. Naturally, they're very outraged about it. Should Andrew, formerly known as Prince, get a royal send-off?
No, he shouldn't, and I don't think he will. I mean, I suspect the attitude at the palace is that this is something that will be dealt with closer to the time. I mean, Prince Andrew could easily live anywhere from 10 to 35, even 40 years from now, you know. He's also younger than the king, so issues around his funeral aren't really going to be made until King William is on the throne, and we know that the Prince of Wales has adopted the harshest of attitudes towards his uncle. And it's hard for me to actually see on what grounds Andrew would be eligible for a ceremonial funeral. He's no longer royal. He's no longer a prince. He was stripped of that qualification of Royal Highness, along with all the other, you know, the styles, the titles, the honours and offices. He was stripped of his role as colonel of the various royal regiments, and it's usually those regiments that take part in a royal funeral. So I can't see on what basis that would qualify him. And also, crucially, denying him a royal ceremonial funeral is not cruel and unusual punishment. There's a great deal of confusion here around royal protocol. Just because you were a senior royal or you're the son of a former sovereign doesn't entitle you to a royal funeral. For people will be surprised to learn that Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, a royal highness, she She didn't get a royal funeral. She had a simple private funeral, as did Edward VIII, the Duke of Windsor, the former King of Britain, uncle of the Queen, brother of George VI. He didn't get a royal funeral. Now, when they died, Margaret and the Duke of Windsor were both royal highnesses. He was a royal duke and a former king. Neither of them faced the sorts of allegations and accusations of wrongdoing that Andrew had. So I can't see the argument.
OK, Jack, would you like to provide an argument? You think he should get a royal funeral?
I do. You know, I get what he's saying, but at the same time, he's never been found guilty of any wrongdoing. And here Rafe is saying he shouldn't be allowed this, he shouldn't be allowed that. Well, it's like me saying Rafe's family shouldn't be allowed to bury him. And, you know, I don't think that that's appropriate right now. I mean, why the press are suddenly talking about this anyway at the moment seems quite unjust of them, because like Rafe said, he's very much alive, he's very well, and I can't see him dying anytime soon. Sort of, God forbid anybody does suddenly die. But when it comes to it, if he has then been found guilty of wrongdoing, then completely we can relook at it then. But right now, at this moment in time, he's not been found guilty of anything, and he's still stating his innocence. So therefore, why should he not be given a royal funeral?
Rafe, the lawyer for the victims, Epstein's victims, are saying, you know, Andrew has brought disgrace upon the royal family because of his just involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. We saw the picture of them walking through Central Park together. We know he stayed at Epstein's house. I mean, just that very link, regardless of the fact he hasn't been proven to do anything wrong, just that link surely is maybe enough.
Yes, Andrew's judgment is the issue here as well, right? This is not just about what actually occurred, but the judgment, the decisions that Andrew had made throughout this have brought disgrace upon himself and damaged the monarchy. And all royals, especially all senior royals, know that the monarchy and the preservation of the monarchy is the one thing that takes priority over everything else. Now, Andrew was willing to lay down his life for Queen and country in the Falklands War. He knows what sacrifice is all about. He is now in a position where he has to understand he has to make sacrifices for the greater good of the institution. Now, this has not been dealt with by the palace now because, as my interlocutor said, this is going to happen a long way down the road. We don't know. Maybe he will rehabilitate himself like John Profumo did, and do whatever he needs to do to show support and contrition and work with charities as he once promised he would do. Maybe the public in 15 or 25 years will have a change of heart if they see a changed man. We don't know. These are decisions to be made at a later time.
Jack, the judgment issue, I mean, regardless of whether it's proved to do anything wrong or not, the judgment that he was spending time with Jeffrey Epstein, and we all know that the hideous crimes that he had committed by then as well, surely that is enough to not grant him a royal funeral funded by the taxpayers.
Well, it's not funded by the taxpayers, but yes, I completely agree. I think we are all in full agreement that he has been guilty of being very, very stupid. And, that is a given. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen him constantly getting in touch. We've seen his ex-wife constantly being in touch. And all of these things haven't helped them at all. So, yes, he's very stupid in who he's been choosing to have as friends. He's not dealt in a correct manner. And none of that is, I'm not stating any of that is untrue and unjust. What he's receiving for all of those wrongdoings is quite correct. But he is, at the end of the day, a royal. And I do think if the royal family want to bury their family, they should be allowed to. And that's all I'm saying.
Sorry, Rafe, just quickly and finally, running out of time.
No one's saying he's not going to get a burial, but being royal doesn't mean you get a royal ceremonial funeral. If Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, if a former king and emperor and someone who was a royal duke when he died, the Duke of Windsor, didn't get a royal ceremonial funeral, I don't see why Andrew should. If the public attitude changes, fine, but if the public attitude then is what it is now, it would be hugely damaging for the monarchy. A private funeral at St. George's Chapel, perfectly fitting, nothing wrong with that. It's still a dignified funeral.
OK, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday to debate that one. That is Rafe Haidel-Mankoo, who is historian and specialist in royal protocol, and Jack Stooks, who's a royal commentator. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And, of course, please do let me know what you think about this one. There's huge debate going on in the office about it, it has to be said. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. A Scottish Green migrant MSP who was elected while only holding a student visa has come under fire after claiming that rape is a spectrum and that we demonise rapists. Stay tuned for the details on that particularly shocking story. But after the break, the PM has been accused of preparing to downgrade the use of the union flag on Labour branding in a sop to the party's left wing. You can't have your cake and eat it, Andy, or can you? All of that and much more. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company now. I was just looking around. There's normally a little flag in the studio, which I was going to wave, but somebody has nicked my prop. Don't worry, I'll get them. Now, because the question we're asking is, could Andy Burnham be preparing to ditch the union flag, the flag of our country? It's been a prominent feature of the Labour Party branding in recent years, as Sir Keir Starmer sought to distance himself from the Corbyn years and be more patriotic. Remember, we never actually saw our Starmer, did we, standing anywhere without a union flag in the background. I think there was one even draped on his sofa when he was at home. Could Andy Burnham be about to put a stop to that? There are reports that the new PM is to downgrade the use of our national flag at this year's Labour conference to appease Labour's left wing. OK, so let's talk now to independent MP Carl Turner. Carl, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. We always have a good natter, don't we? You're such a live wire. I can't see a flag behind you, though, Carl. What do you make of this one?
Well, Dawn, I've known Andy for a lot of years. I was in his campaign team in 2015 when there was only one or two MPs who thought he might be the leader of the Labour Party in the next PM. We had the confidence in him then, but I've known him for a long, long time. He's probably, honestly, and I mean this, the most patriotic person I know. If there's an international football competition or anything else, a tournament of any kind, he's draped in the St George's Cross. I think there is something, though, if I'm being honest, to be said that party branding might shift a bit. Why? Because Burnham's got a different idea of the party branding, probably. You saw the Makerfield campaign, it was about Andy for us. You saw the Manchester mayoralty election where it was Bev Craig saying Bev for us. I think the branding might change a bit, but believe you me, there's nothing unpatriotic about Andy Burnham. That's honestly the truth.
And Carl, I do actually genuinely believe you. However, I'm slightly concerned that there are many MPs, left-wing MPs, maybe to the left of Andy, who claim that they want to ditch the country's flag because their voters feel uncomfortable with it. They don't identify with the national flag of the United Kingdom. Now, I think that's slightly worrying, don't you?
Well, I do. I was in Makerfield, and I can tell you that the people in Makerfield are very patriotic, and a lot of people have the Union flag outside of the house on display, or the St George's Cross. Similarly, in East Hull. Listen, I know, I accept, I'm not being disparaging, but there are frothy coffee drinking, Guardian reading lefty liberals who think they don't want to do any of this flag stuff. Well, I'd look to them. I'm British. I'm born and bred in East Hull. I'm proud of what my roots are. I don't care what people think of me. And frankly, I expect Andy Burnham's of a similar mood, and he doesn't either. Thank goodness. We don't need any of that nonsense.
So, Carl, I'll have to ask you this question then. If he is patriotic and believes in the flags, why is he listening to these MPs who are saying that their voters don't identify with it? And, obviously the follow-on question is, what flag are they comfortable in? We saw many areas of the north, Andy Burnham's beloved north, many people would rather fly the flag of Palestine.
Well, I doubt whether these people are having any influence at all on Andy Burnham, if in fact they are making these representations at all. I'm sure they might be. I'm not disputing it. But it won't have any truck with Andy Burnham, let me tell you that. In terms of where we are as a country, I think it's incredibly important to show patriotism. I do it regularly. I've not got a flag behind me, as you've pointed out. But I don't mind having one at the end of the driveway. And let me tell you, during the World Cup, there was one there, proudly displayed.
So why is Andy ditching it? Why not keep the Union flag? It's the flag of our country. There is nothing wrong with it.
I'm not sure he is ditching it. I think the branding will change. I think when we get to the conference...
Carl. That's splitting hairs a little bit, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, sure it is. The branding changes under every leader. It happened with Gordon Brown taking over from Tony Blair. It happened with Keir Starmer when he took over from Jeremy Corbyn. It'll happen when Andy Burnham takes over from Keir Starmer. It has to do because the branding changed to mark to the membership and others who are watching, the electorate, that there's a new prime minister, new leader, and things are changing in the party. So when we get to the party conference, I suspect we'll be seeing Andy for us. Why not? Don't bother me. If it bothers the electorate, it starts to bother me. I don't think it will, because I think Andy Burnham is just as patriotic as anybody else, in fact, more than many.
OK, Carl, just a quick question here then. Would you rather see people at the Labour Party conference coming up, obviously in the autumn, waving Andy for us flags rather than the Union flag, the flag of this country? Would you seriously rather see that?
I'm not bothered, really. I think if people want to fly the Union flag, I support them in that. If they want to fly a thing with Andy Burnham's mugshot on it, saying Andy for us, they can get on with that as well. But I tell you something, the Labour Party has to recognise that people are patriotic. People in the north, like East Hull, who voted 74% leave, didn't want to leave the country. They wanted to leave the European Union. They were criticised by some of the lefty liberals for having that determination. And frankly, it caused us a problem in the elections coming up as a result of that stuff. We mustn't make that mistake. I'd say to Andy, be proud of who we are. I know he is. And keep the flag in the presence of the party, because it's not owned by anybody, it's ours. We are patriots, for crying out loud. That'd be my advice. I'm proud of it. I think Burnham is, and I think the country are as well. Thank goodness.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope we do see more Union flags being flown, and less Palestinian. Why are we flying the flag of a foreign country? What is that about, Carl?
They're making a political point, which is understandable, I think, to an extent, but it's not something I'd be wanting to waft around. I'm a member of the country. I was born and bred here. I'm proud of my roots. I'm incredibly patriotic. I think we all ought to be. Yeah. So that's not something I'd be getting involved with, but I understand when they want to make a political point. Palestine Action et al. These are the types of things that make people want to make a political point. I can have a discussion with anybody in a debate about the issues that have existed with the terrible situation in Palestine, but it don't make me unpatriotic if I criticise a political position of the country.
Carl, we've run out of time. Have a word with your mate Andy and make sure he is flying that blooming flag. We should all be proud of it. Carl Turner, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for having a bit of a sense of humour about life, because if we don't have a sense of humour in this country, we really are in trouble. OK, a Labour MP privately said, I think Andy is as patriotic as anyone else, and I think when he's representing the national interest as PM, the Union flag will still be proudly flying. But maybe when it's purely party issues, we'll see more of Labour's red rose symbol. Oh, that's fair enough as well, I guess. And a Labour spokesperson said that no decision had yet been made about the branding for the conference in September, but did not comment on any wider image changes. Andy for us, Andy flags, Andy T-shirts. Anyway, I'm Dawn Newsom. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. 1/3 of British families believe that mum and dad should never stop paying for the family holiday. Should parents always pay to take their kids, adult kids who are earning their own money, on holiday with them? We'll be having that debate next and you won't want to miss it. But first, let's get the news headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Hi there, very good afternoon to you. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. The Prime Minister is expected to announce a series of measures to help people tackle the cost of living, and he will signal his intent to improve high streets across the country this week as he embarks on a tour of the UK. FIFA's accused critics of a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine the organisation and its president, Gianni Infantino. It comes amid claims UEFA paid off an alleged mistress while he was in charge of European football's governing body, which he denies. Irish crime boss Daniel Kinahan is expected to land in Dublin this afternoon following his extradition from Dubai. The boxing promoter, one of the world's most wanted men, will stand trial for allegedly directing the organisation of an organised crime gang. Wes Streeting's called for allies to send more air defence missiles to Ukraine after another wave of overnight attacks on Odessa and Kharkiv, where at least 2 people were killed and dozens more injured. The Defence Secretary says Vladimir Putin will seek to weaponise the colder months of winter. And large parts of England are under yellow weather warnings, with the 5th heat wave of the year likely to be declared in the coming days. Temperatures could reach 35 degrees by the middle of next week. And that's it for the moment. I'll have more for you at 2 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Aaron. And remember, let me know your thoughts on all the stories we are discussing today by visiting gbnews.com/your say and join in the conversation. Or you can, of course, scan the QR code. I will try to read as many out as I possibly can, but so many of you are getting in touch about your doubts about our new Prime Minister's patriotism and saying, what is wrong with our flag? Well, I agree with you. Nothing wrong with the flag. Keep them coming in. I'll read as many out as I possibly can. Now, there is loads more coming up on today's show. So stay tuned to find out when, where and how to get the optimum view of the first solar eclipse to be visible across the country this century. Oh, come on. It's going to be fun. I'm Dawn Newsom, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel. See you soon.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Plenty of sunshine once again in the south through the rest of today and feeling hotter than yesterday too. Further north though, quite a bit fresher, and there will be some rain for some, courtesy of this cold front just clearing away into the North Sea. High pressure then takes over for Monday and Tuesday, and as well as that, it is set to turn hot once again, particularly in England and Wales. So through the rest of this afternoon, there will be some rain at times across parts of Northern Ireland, also central and southern parts of Scotland, with the rain just gradually fringing southwards into parts of northern England, but tending to turn more showery as we go through the rest of today. One or two heavier bursts are still possible, but many places will actually see quite a bit of dry weather as well. To the south, across Wales, central and southern England, a hot and sunny day to come, temperatures into the low 30s across some southeastern parts of England. But across more northern parts of the UK, quite a different feeling day to come. So for northwest Scotland, where it was very wet yesterday and quite windy, well, much brighter and drier compared to yesterday. There will be some showers around and still fairly blustery in those cool northwesterly winds, but there will be some warm sunny spells too. Likewise for Northern Ireland, and for many parts of Wales and central and southern England, it will remain fine and warm into this evening as well, with some hazy spells of sunshine. Now through tonight, that band of rain continues to make its way slowly and erratically southwards into parts of Wales and the Midlands, just a band of cloud with the odd shower by this point though. To the south of that, it will remain dry and clear, and it will be a fairly warm night in the towns and the cities, with temperatures holding up at between 15 and 16 degrees. Further north though, notice these temperatures widely 10 or 11 degrees in the towns and cities, and widely into mid to potentially low single figures in the countryside. So a fresh start to the day on Monday for some northern areas, but plenty of sunshine for many through the course of Monday. There will be some build-up of cloud at times, and I think the sunshine will turn a little bit hazier through the afternoon for some western areas, but many will stay dry, just the odd blustery shower in the northeast of Scotland, and not as hot as on Sunday in the south, highs of 26 or 27 degrees.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
And the winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back to The Weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company. Now, for the first time in a century, people across the UK will be able to see an almost total solar eclipse, for those pointing out already. On Wednesday evening, yes, the 12th, people will see about 88 to 95% coverage of the sun, while spectators in parts of Greenland, Iceland and northern Spain will see a total eclipse. Joining me now is science broadcaster and author Mark Thompson. Mark, just talk us through what's going to happen, what we can expect, and why this is so rare.
Well, the Earth constantly goes around the sun. It takes about a year for the Earth to complete one orbit around the sun. And at the same time, the moon goes around the Earth, and it takes about a month for that to happen. And on occasions, it coincides that the moon passes directly between the Earth and the sun. Now, we only ever see the moon because it's reflecting sunlight. If you turn the sun off, then you wouldn't see the moon at all. But on Wednesday evening, just about 6:15 or thereabouts, depending on where you are in the UK, the moon will pass almost directly between the sun and the Earth, and so it will partially block the really bright light from the sun from reaching us. So we'll get a real thin crescent of sun left, which will be visible as a partial solar eclipse from all of the UK, and you say different parts of the world will get to see a total eclipse.
And how dark is it going to get? I mean, the picture we're showing on the screen looks like it's going to be almost like midnight. I mean, is that going to be the case?
Now, do you know what would be wonderful if it did? Now, I saw the total eclipse in 1999 from Cornwall, and it did go dark because all of the really bright surface of the sun, the visible surface, is called the photosphere, and that's where most of the light comes from when we see the sun. But for us, we're only going to lose about 90-95%, depending on where you are in the UK, and it will just possibly get a teeny little bit darker, almost just like it's overcast and cloudy. It won't, unfortunately, be as dark as it looked in that picture, I'm afraid. It'd be great if it was, but it won't, I'm afraid.
That did look very dramatic. And so the timings sort of like across the UK range from sort of like, just gone 6 o'clock to about sort of like 20 past 6 in London for the first contact. But the maximum eclipse is going to be round about sort of like, 5 past 10 past 7 in the evening.
Yeah. The further south you are, the earlier it starts. The further north you are, the later it starts. But then it's all finished by just after 8 o'clock when the sun, and then the sun sets about 8:30. So the really key piece for people to know is you need a really clear western horizon. So you need a horizon that's really low. If you're in the centre of a city, you aren't likely going to get to see it. You need a really clear, low horizon to be able to see it. And the other really important thing is don't look directly at it. There is a really great trick. One of two ways you can look at the thing is to use proper solar eclipse glasses. Now, it might be a bit late for people to get hold of those. Don't use sunglasses. Don't try welding glasses, all those sorts of things. They really can be quite dangerous. But what you can use if you run into your kitchen is one of these, a colander. And all you need to do, not look through it, let the sunlight pass through the colander onto a piece of paper on the other side, and you will see a wonderful projected image of 50 to 100 little eclipsed suns on a piece of paper. It looks quite, and it's perfectly safe to do.
Right, yeah, we have that. We have a little diagram now explaining that for people, because it is important to point out that, even if you've got sunglasses on, looking at it directly can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though vastly all of the sun will be blocked from view, and it could be up to 96% of it blocked, the remaining 4% absolutely can still cause damage to your eyes. I did a demonstration a few years ago on the internet where I took a pig's eye, not attached to a live pig, got it from a butcher's, held it up to a telescope pointing at the sun, and it burned a hole through the pig's eye. Smelled a bit ucky, but it's really, really dangerous. So even with sunglasses, please do not try and look directly at it. It's really, really dangerous.
I'm going to keep those words in my head because that just sounds like horrible. And just quickly and finally, Mark, if we miss this one, when's the next one?
Oh gosh, we've got about another 60 years to wait before the next one, I'm afraid. So it's quite a while. Unless you want to travel, you can of course travel to other parts of the world to see them.
That's brilliant. That's great. It's fantastic to have that explained, and especially how to watch it safely. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. That is science broadcaster and author Mark Thompson there for everything you need to know about the 2026 solar eclipse, which is happening on August the 12th. And watch it safely, folks. I mean, if you've got a colander at home, do exactly what Mark said and just keep that pig's eyeball warning in your head because you don't want that happening to your eyes, do you? OK, now, it is coming up towards the clock in the studio is broken. It's coming up to, I don't know, 1:45, roughly. And it's time for the Great British Giveaway and your chance, just 2 weeks to go, evidently, to grab that £60,000 cash prize and gold bar in our Golden Summer Celebration. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts. I'm in one of their beautiful sea view rooms. Luxurious, right? And there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. There's over £65,000 in cash and gold to be won. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. That's cash you could save, spend the rest of the year spending, or just relax somewhere like here. The award-winning Soma Spa will also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Just make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 21st of August.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, good luck indeed. Lots of you are getting in touch about the last solar eclipse and about the party. John said last time on a total eclipse, we had a party in the garden and the kids were kids. That's got to be 20 years ago at least. Yeah, I mean, sounds like a good evening to have a party to me. In any case, we're going to ask now, could AI be the answer to the pothole epidemic plaguing our roads? The managing director of Citroën thinks so. Stay tuned for all the details on that one.
They can obviously locate the worst ones far faster. They can then deploy road teams to effectively fix them much more quickly. And in essence, it'll be a much more efficient use of the funding that's available for local authorities to fix potholes.
But if you are in search of some holiday sun, possibly to see the eclipse, which is going to be quite good in northern Spain, evidently, if you're off there, here's a forecast for some of those top European holiday destinations for you.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. If you're heading off on holiday to other parts of Europe, it's a sunny and increasingly hot outlook across many parts of the Mediterranean. There may well be an isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorm, particularly across inland parts of Turkey, Greece and the Balkans, but many parts of Italy and the Western Mediterranean will stay entirely dry on Monday with plenty of strong August sunshine. Into the outlook for the rest of the week, well, the temperatures remain in the mid to high 30s, perhaps even above 40 Celsius in places.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Yes, the Malaysian government has announced that it will renew the search for Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which disappeared 10 years ago without a trace.
Yes, the plane was carrying 239 people from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Previous attempts to locate the plane have all failed, leaving the families of those on board without any kind of closure.
Well, for more on this, let's speak to Terry Tozer, a former airline pilot and author of Confessions of an Airline Pilot, Why Planes Crash. Terry, you sound like the perfect man to talk to about this, because this is perhaps the biggest aviation mystery of our modern age.
Yeah, it is, and obviously a great tragedy as well. It's good to know that they're going to have another crack at trying to find it.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is just health and safety gone mad. It's not the role of public authorities to be telling people what's for their best interest. And the reality is it's probably better to take the chance of a tree branch falling on you than going out in the sun and getting getting burnt in the sun. But the reality is the reason why these councils are saying you've got to stay out of underneath the trees is they don't want anybody to get struck by a branch which they have a liability to, whilst they don't have a liability for anybody getting sunburnt. So it's all to do with public liability. I mean, if you look at East Cheshire Council, for example, in 2024, they had to pay out £500,000 because a branch fell on somebody.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
In my hand, I have a colander. I have a piece of paper. Yes, there you have one too. So I'm going to run it so you can see me. So I think what you do is you shine, you indicate, you tell me what to do, and I'll do it for you.
You never look at the sun directly.
Yep,
you
good.
allow the light to go through the colander, and that'll actually act as a pinhole camera and project images of the sun onto the piece of paper, and then you can look at the piece of paper and see the eclipse take place. Simple as that. You can do it also by using binoculars or a telescope and projecting an image through from them onto a piece of paper. Yep. That will work just as well. Or get a bucket of water, let it settle, and look in the bucket of water, and you'll see the image of the sun in the water, and then you can observe the eclipse that way.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Right, AI can sort your potholes out, evidently. Here's Jack Carson with the story.
There's no escaping a pothole in Britain. They don't just harm your car, they hurt your bank balance too. Drivers spent £1.8 billion in 2025 repairing pothole damage to their cars. Now one car company is intervening.
So here's a really good example of a load of potholes that are present all over Britain. And
Greg Taylor is the managing director of Citroën UK, whose new report is calling for a standardisation of road repairs and management.
It's not really acceptable in 2026 that we have a situation where local highways authorities are following different processes and systems in terms of the rectification of these roads, and they are a blight on society in general. It's a problem that many people come across every single day. We've identified up to £5.5 billion worth of savings and efficiencies that could be made through implementing some of the practices that are contained within the report.
The changes listed in the Better Roads Manifesto include making the use of AI for road inspections compulsory, introducing a 5-year plan for road funding, tightening up legislation to create a national standard for road repairs and hold utility companies to account for poor repairs, and developing a road cleaning strategy to remove dangerous debris.
They can obviously locate the worst ones far faster. They can then deploy road teams to effectively fix them much more quickly, and in essence it'll be a much more efficient use of the funding that's available for local authorities to fix potholes. So that's really what we want government and local authorities to do, and as Citroën we want to work with them to be able to help take this on and effectively rectify Britain's roads.
The government says they have a multi-year investment plan for local highways authorities to improve the condition of their roads, with councils facing new rules on how they spend funding to fix potholes and maintain highways. Potholes in clusters like this are becoming more common too, making driving round them even harder. This new report reveals nearly 30% of drivers have lost control of their vehicle, avoiding a pothole. According to Aviva, pothole-related insurance claims are now costing an average of £3,863 per incident.
A lot of cars actually end up being written off when they hit potholes, so it's a complete waste of money, time, resource, and creates a lot of stress. And I think that's why it really resonates with the UK public, because they've had enough of this situation. It's been going.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. The dry theme is set to continue for most of us as we go into the new working week, and there will be some strong spells of sunshine through the day on Monday. We have had a little bit of rain on Sunday, courtesy of a cold front that's clearing away to the east now. High pressure takes over for much of the coming week and temperatures will build, so turning hot for some by Tuesday and indeed Wednesday and Thursday. Out there this evening, some showery rain across parts of northern England. That's courtesy of that weak cold front, so a few dribs and drabs of rain perhaps across parts of North Wales and the Midlands through the early hours of Monday morning. Otherwise though, many places will stay dry. It will turn quite chilly across more northern parts of the UK, temperatures in the countryside dipping into single figures, but in the south, lows of between 15 and 16 degrees in the towns and the cities, so a fairly warm night to come. As well as that, there may well be one or two mist and fog patches forming later in the night, particularly across southwest England, but those won't take very long to clear at all in that strong August sunshine. So a fine day to come for most of England and Wales, a bit of cloud around at times, but many places having plenty amounts of sunshine as well. One or two isolated showers for Northern Ireland and the west of Scotland, though most places dry. Fairly frequent showers though pushing into Shetland and Orkney, and here those showers will be accompanied by quite a brisk northwesterly wind, so here it will feel disappointingly cool once again for August, but otherwise with light winds and, as I say, a good deal of amounts of sunshine. I am expecting temperatures to rise quite quickly, so it will be feeling warm by the afternoon, temperatures in the low to mid 20s for many, and perhaps 26 or 27 in the far south, but not as hot in the south as on Sunday. So a fine picture to begin the new working week for many, and it stays that way as we go into Tuesday too. Possibly just a little bit of patchy light rain and drizzle pushing into western Scotland for a time on Tuesday, but otherwise a lot of sunshine through the middle part of the week and indeed into Thursday too. Blue skies, cloudless conditions for many, and turning very hot in parts of England and Wales by Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures into the mid-30s.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts, and there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock on Sunday the 9th of August and this is the weekend on GB News. We've got a packed hour coming up together. The Prime Minister prepares to tour the nation to hear what the great British public really thinks. Good luck with that one, Andy. But could it all be smoke and mirrors, or will Burnham put his money where his mouth is in a bid to get Britain's mojo back? The Prime Minister is also said to be considering a U-turn on the early release of PC Andrew Harper's killers from prison by blocking the early release of killers of emergency service workers. And the front page of your Mail on Sunday today has a bit of a worrying story. It's been reported Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, despite being stripped of all his royal titles, is reportedly still set to get a royal ceremonial funeral when the time comes. But do you think he should get one? And the shocking story of the day, a Scottish Green migrant MSP who was elected while only holding a student visa to be in the country has come under fire after claiming rape is a spectrum and that we demonise rapists too much. Stay tuned for the details on that story. And bankered mum and dad, and indeed nan and granddad, 1/3 of British families believe that mum and dad should never stop paying for the family holiday. So should parents always pay for their grown-up children to go on holiday with them? We'll be debating that one. I'm Dawn Neeson and this is The Weekend. So thank you so much for your company this Sunday lunchtime, and I appreciate if you're somewhere where there's lovely, lovely weather, remember you can go into the garden, you can take us with you on your laptop or your iPhone and on the radio if you're driving. If you're further up north where the weather isn't so good at the moment, then sit indoors, put your feet up on the settee and have something warming to drink, or maybe a cold beer. I don't know. It's a summer holiday still, isn't it? And it is a Sunday afternoon. Now, lots of you have been getting in touch about the Union flag story we were discussing earlier on, with the rumour being that our Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, is maybe ditching the branding that Keir Starmer introduced to the Union flag. And lots of you are getting quite angry about it. And Freddie said, Freddie goes, we have a Union flag on the Mini Cooper. It was all the rage at one point. I used to really like them. Are we saying now that everyone who drove one of those was a racist? I remember those cars, Freddie. They were lovely, weren't they? But now, I wonder if they do a Palestinian flag version. Probably coming our way soon, in any case. gbnews.com/your say. Get involved in the conversation. Anything you want to have a natter about. It is a Sunday lunchtime. But before we get into the hour we have together, let's get the news headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much, Dawn. Good afternoon to you. 3 minutes past 2, our headlines. Andy Burnham will set off on a tour of the UK tomorrow in an effort to improve the government's connection with the public. Downing Street says the Prime Minister will be in listening mode when he asks people how he can improve their lives. The Prime Minister is expected to announce policies to tackle the cost of living, to create breathing space, and will set out how he intends to improve the country's high streets. And Mr Burnham's announced cuts already to energy costs and also a £2 cap on bus fares. That was during his first week in office. FIFA has denounced what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine President Gianni Infantino. It follows claims surrounding his conduct at UEFA and his failed plan to sell stakes in the World Cup to private investors. He denies European football's governing body gave an alleged mistress a six-figure severance payment while he was General Secretary of the organisation, saying the allegations are categorically untrue. The Israeli Prime Minister says he's rejected the 15-point plan for Gaza set out by Donald Trump's so-called Board of Peace. Benjamin Netanyahu has released a statement ruling out any Israeli withdrawal from Gaza until Hamas disarms, and says there'll be no Palestinian state there or in the occupied West Bank as long as he's leader. Last month, the US president announced a breakthrough in his plan to end the war, which both Israel and Hamas agreed to last year. Palestinian authorities, though, say at least 1,100 people have been killed by Israeli attacks on Gaza since the ceasefire was announced in October. Dozens of asylum seekers are expected to arrive in the UK later as the surge in small boat crossings continues. And more than 300 illegal migrants have arrived in Dover in several dinghies already this weekend. A number of boats were launched off the coast of Dunkirk earlier today. At least 2,500 asylum seekers have reached the UK since Andy Burnham came to power last month. Now, Reform UK have announced plans to use the Navy to stop small boat crossings if they were in office. But the Conservatives say that is not a feasible solution.
They'll get exactly the same response from the Navy as actually the last government did when it tried it, that it was impossible to intercept these boats without putting lives at risk. Therefore, it was an illegal order and they just couldn't do it. So that can't really be part of the plan. What Reform's announced is a headline. It's not a properly thought through plan.
The Irish government plane carrying suspected crime boss Daniel Kinnan has departed Dubai for Dublin, where he's expected to appear before the Central Criminal Court later. The boxing promoter will stand trial for allegedly directing the activities of an organised crime gang. He's accused of international drug trafficking and firearms offences. It follows his arrest in the UAE in April. The Irish Prison Service has bought a bullet and bomb-proof van in advance of his extradition that's normally used to escort high-risk prisoners. The Defence Secretary Wes Streeting has urged Western allies to boost Ukraine's air defences before winter, when he says Vladimir Putin could use the cold conditions as a weapon. The governor of Kharkiv says 2 people have been killed and 27 injured in a Russian strike on an apartment building in the northern city overnight, while at least 8 people were reported injured when missiles and drones struck residential buildings in Odessa, where fires broke out in the historic city centre. Meanwhile, 3 people have been reported dead and 25 injured in a Ukrainian drone attack on the Russian city of Belgorod. Finally, drought likely to be declared across more of the UK as the country braces for a fifth heat wave of the year. No significant rain is forecast, meaning dry conditions will continue, and temperatures could reach 35 degrees by the middle of next week. Yellow heat health alerts are in force, and they are due to last until Tuesday evening. And those are your headlines for the moment. Now it's back to Dawn.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Erin, and thank you so much for your company. Loads of you getting in touch today, which is brilliant. On the Andrew, formerly known as Prince, Freudian slip there, on the state funeral for him, Chrissy said, who on earth would want to attend that? OK, maybe his family, I don't know. And Pat has said about the Prime Minister's tour that is going on to find out what we all think. Burnham does not know what the British public want. So Burnham does not know what the British public want, so he's doing a tour of the country. That's what happened when you don't get out of Manchester much. He's so out of touch. Any case, and lots of comments about his holidays as well. Do keep them coming in, because this show is all about you. gbnews.com/your say. Now, we are going to talk about Andy Burnham and that UK tour. Now, there are reports that Andy Burnham is examining still whether to block the release of all prisoners responsible for the deaths of emergency service workers to ensure PC Andrew Harper's killers remain behind bars. That's on the front page of many of your papers today. The Prime Minister has also been presented with an alternative plan to block the release of all prisoners guilty of manslaughter, but there are concerns that the number of prisoners convicted for the crime would place too much pressure on an already overcrowded prison system. That is a story that is not going to go away anytime soon. They're going to have to deal with it before October, when they've also got the budget coming up, haven't they? OK, now this comes as Andy Burnham, brace yourself, gets ready to set off on a nationwide listening tour, the Burnham Bounce Tour, as we're calling it, where he will ask the public how the government can bring down the cost of living. OK, let's talk now to historian and author of A Left for Itself, David Swift. David, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. David, I can see both sides of this. On the one hand, we all complain about politicians are out of touch and they don't really talk to ordinary people all over the country. So Andy Burnham is going to do that. On the other hand, shouldn't he already know what's going on and what he needs to do?
It could be done, definitely. And some people might say, well, this is a bit superficial, isn't it? It's a bit of a gimmick. But if you think about it, of all the criticisms levelled against Keir Starmer, and there were many, obviously, possibly number one is he's bad at communicating, he seems unsympathetic, he's a bit awkward, he's out of touch with real people. And even though Starmer had some good policies and some things to kind of bring down the cost of living, Burnham has realised it doesn't really make much difference, even if you are having some effect, if you're not seen to be doing the right thing, if you're not seen to be in touch with people. And I think most of us across the political spectrum would agree, probably Burnham's greatest superpower at this moment is, before things get really tough for him at least, he seems, personable, he seems in touch with people, he seems more like an ordinary bloke. And so I think it's a really good idea, even though some might say it's a bit of a gimmick, even though he already knows the problems the country faces. It's really important to get out there and communicate with people.
David, he has made, I think we're up to about 35 TikTok videos since it's been Prime Minister, which is just coming up to 3 weeks now. So, yes, he is a very good communicator, but it does all seem to be a little bit all about Andy and less about us voters.
Well, maybe, but it's horses for courses, isn't it, right? So you mentioned TikTok, but he's also very good on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and probably other media that I'm not on as well. And the kind of people he's going to be meeting here are not necessarily the kind of people on TikTok, right? So Burnham, people often say he's a Scouser. He's not really a Scouser. He's a proper wool, as we'd say in Liverpool. And he's a proud wool, and good for him. He's from the kind of small towns between Liverpool and Manchester, which he obviously now represents as an MP. That's his kind of neighbourhood where he grew up a long time ago, albeit. And so I think it's important for him to get out there into kind of small town Britain, to get out of London, to get out of Manchester, as you said before, and to reach people who won't be watching his TikToks, actually, people who think TikTok's like a little mint that you can take or something. If you can speak to those people, they're the exact kind of people who've been turned off from Labour in the past few years.
Yeah, should we do, actually, while we're talking about TikTok, should we have a quick look at the latest one?
Andy Burnham is introducing a switch into this electrical circuit to represent the circuit breaker entering UK politics, innit? You don't know.
When I stood outside Downing Street, I said we needed a circuit breaker.
See, that's what I mean about the egotistical question that, you know, I'm Andy Burnham, I'm going to be a circuit breaker. It does sound a little bit all about Andy.
Well, definitely. I mean, if you think about it, look at the Labour Party's polls, right? You know, the polling for the Labour Party and how it's changed in the past few weeks. What's changed, right? Andy Burnham, you know. And it's very interesting because it's not as though until about a year or two ago, people from saying, oh, Andy Burnham, you know, he can be the British Barack Obama, he can be a more left-wing Tony Blair. But, you know, come off the hour, come off the man, right? And with that win in Makerfield, which, as you know, was pure reform territory, right? You know, if anyone else other than Andy Burnham had stood for Labour, they would have been wiped out. Reform would have won easily. And yet Andy won. Why is that? How is that? You know, who knows? But the fact is, he's definitely got a personal appeal. He, by himself, has turned around the Labour Party's fortunes for now. You know, let's see what the next few months bring. And so I think it's completely fair enough. If you have a leader who's a massive asset, a bit like Nigel Farage with Reform, by the way, you think about where Reform would be without Nigel. It makes complete sense to have them out there, you know, front of stage, getting all the attention. And yeah, if you can kind of bring, you know, get more kind of affection for Labour in these kind of forgotten about towns, which it sounds like he'll be touring, then all the better for it, really.
How do you think he's going to fare, though, David, if he does go to places like Thetford, for example, plucking that out? Obviously, we've seen the unrest recently about the migrants being housed there and civil unrest, people being very angry about that situation. How do you think he'll fare? Because Andy likes to be popular. He likes to be everyone's mate. How do you think he's going to fare if he does come up against some really harsh truths about how people in places like Thetford, in places like Bicester, in places like Crowborough and Epping and Southport, and the list goes on, are really feeling? How do you think he'd cope with that?
Well, I'd say a couple of things. First, it'd be interesting to see where he goes, right? Because when we talk about left behind towns or whatever, we often think about the north. But definitely, if you think of southeast England, so many of the most poorest deprived places in the country now are kind of former seaside towns in the southeast and east coast. So it'd be interesting to see if this kind of tour of England or Britain is really sticking to the north and places like that, or indeed if he does go down to kind of reform territory in East Anglia and the east coast. But about the whole migrant thing, bear in mind, Andy Burnham has literally been out of, he's just been in Parliament for a couple of months now. You know, he was out of Parliament for many years. And I think a lot of people kind of appreciate that he's not necessarily associated with the migrant policy of Keir Starmer or indeed of the last Conservative government. Whether that's fair or not, right, whether he's actually going to change things at all, he can at least say to people quite accurately, look, I haven't been in Parliament for almost 10 years, I'm not associated with the Boris wave, I'm not associated with Keir Starmer. And again, his background or his kind of image anyway as being this kind of blokey, matey fella, I think that can make a big difference as well. We can more persuasively say to ordinary voters, I'm not this kind of London elitist like Keir Starmer, even if, frankly, obviously, he's got a lot to do with the London elites, really.
Just quickly and finally, David, do you think he'd be selling tour merchandise? We'll be able to get an Andy Burnham dark blue or black T-shirt?
I wouldn't be surprised, and I think that'd be a nice trick to do it, right? I think, to be honest, the Labour Party could do with the money, given how the membership's going. And yeah, I think that's the exact kind of thing that his team are probably thinking about. Maybe a nice big pair of eyelashes with, vote Labour underneath or something like that. Exactly.
I love that idea, Burnham eyelashes. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today and for having a bit of a sense of humour about the politics of today. That's historian and author of A Left for Itself, David Swift there. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know about that one. Would you buy an Andy Burnham pair of fake eyelashes? I mean, come on. OK, let's move on, shall we? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is reportedly still in line for a royal ceremonial funeral, despite being stripped of his titles over the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. This is a big story in the Mail on Sunday today, which is the best-selling newspaper on a Sunday, obviously. The former Duke of York is said to remain on a secret government list of royals entitled to a high-profile send-off. Now, obviously, we're not talking about something that's happening imminently. I mean, he's only in his mid-60s still, isn't he? But we're asking, should he get a royal funeral? So let's talk to a royal commentator, Richard Fitzwilliams, now. Richard, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Richard, front page of the Mail on Sunday, they're not happy about it. Fury over royal funeral plan for shamed Andrew. Should he get a royal funeral?
Emphatically not. He is a private citizen. He lost his HRH title of prince and also stepped down from numerous patronages. He's being, of course, as we all know, investigated by the police. The facts of the matter are that he is in disgrace. As a private citizen, he should most emphatically not get a royal ceremonial funeral. This is a matter for the Cabinet Office of the Royal Household. I can only presume that it's something that they haven't attended to, because there would be public outrage. The last YouGov poll last month, his popularity is 2%. You can't get worse than that. I mean, there would obviously be a private funeral, and subsequently, no doubt, he would be laid to rest as considered appropriate. And there would be taxpayer funding for public safety and maybe management of traffic and so forth. But that basically is the extent of it, I would have thought.
So why do you think this story has come about, Richard? Obviously somebody in the royal family has suggested that this is potentially a good idea.
Well, the way the Cabinet Office planned this originally, this is what undoubtedly would have happened. But now, of course, things have changed radically, and for some reason they haven't updated this, because, I mean, you literally couldn't have it. I mean, obviously, this is not something that is, as far as we know, oncoming immediately. But there's no question that, I mean, there's some issues very difficult to change. For example, his eighth in line to serve the throne, succession. Now, to change that, you've got complicated legislation. It has to go through Parliament, and then you've got the King's other 14 realms involved. So it's a lengthy process, and the government has intentions of changing that, but no more. So far as this is concerned, it should be, and will be, I'm sure, now it's been headlined, changed without, I would suggest, much delay.
Now, Richard, obviously we have King Charles at the moment, but Andrew, I think he's, 66, is he? So by the time this potentially happens, by the time he does, die, the king will be possibly King William. Now, there is no love lost between William and his uncle, is there?
Well, shall we say they have very different attitudes to a very, very great many of things. I mean, as far as we know, they are not in touch in any way. And we know very well that the funeral of the Duchess of Kent, there was a frisson publicly when Andrew was trying to get a little over-familiar. I mean, there's no question that this isn't going to happen. People, as I say, would simply regard it as being outrageous.
OK, Richard, thank you so much for that. That is royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams there on the fury over the royal funeral plan for shamed Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us, Richard. OK, now, I keep looking at the clock, which is definitely not working, by the way. It's 2:20 on a Sunday at lunchtime. So it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and you have just 2 weeks to grab your chance to win £60,000 in cash and that gold bar we keep talking about. It's our golden summer celebration. So we've got Golden Girl Hayley Sparks with all the details.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts. I'm in one of their beautiful sea view rooms. Luxurious, right? And there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. There's over £65,000 in cash and gold to be won. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. That's cash you could save, spend the rest of the year spending, or just relax somewhere like here. The award-winning Soma Spa will also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000. Just make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 21st of August.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, hello, welcome back. Yeah, good luck. Sorry, I was nattering with the boys behind me in the screen there. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News, lots more coming up on today's show, including, talking of the boys, because they are all youngsters, 1/3 of British families believe that mum and dad should never stop paying for the family trip. So should parents always pay for their family holiday with adult children who are coming to expect it? That's the point of this story. We will be having that debate, but after the break. This is a shocker. A Scottish Green migrant MSP, who was elected whilst only holding a student visa to be in the country, by the way, has come under fire after claiming rape is a spectrum and that we demonise rapists. OK, stay tuned for all the details on that story. All of that and much more to come. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you very soon.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversations.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Now, we are going to talk, in my mind, about one of the most shocking stories of the day. A Scottish Green MSP has faced a backlash after saying rape exists on a spectrum. Hugh Manivannan said society had an overly simplistic view of who commits sexual violence and argued that anyone can be a predator. The MSP said the comments have been taken out of context and were intended to challenge narrow definitions of rape and sexual violence. These remarks were made in a podcast in 2025, by the way, and one of the comments says that it's been taken out of context. It says there definitely is a demonisation of rape in the sense of it being a spectrum. OK. Joining me now is a Deputy Leader of Reform Scotland, Thomas Kerr. Now, Thomas, I know these comments were made last year, OK, by the way, but in the week that we are learning of the horror story of Simon Levy, the rapist murderer, who, well, basically, we've covered that this week. I don't want to go into more details. It's too horrific for a Sunday lunchtime. But these comments now coming to light, with that story still in our headlines, is particularly sickening, especially for women and girls who really feel that their safety is being eroded on an almost daily basis at the moment.
It really is, Dawn, and it also is a kick in the teeth to victims, the fact that Q has still not apologised for his comments. I mean, you're right, these were made a year ago, but what he's done in the past 24 hours since they've resurfaced is double down. He said it's been taken out of context. You can't take words out of context in a video that's circulating. We've all seen what he said. In fact, we've seen the excerpt where it actually goes worse, because he said that we should be caring and understanding of those who come to commit sex crimes. So he's actually given a bigger slap in the face to victims as well. So I think they're appalling comments, and the silence from the Scottish Green leadership, I think, really speaks volumes here in Scotland. That is the big say here, is that the Green leadership in Scotland seems to be supporting these sort of comments, which I just think is beyond the pale.
It is. I mean, I'm struggling to understand how you... I mean, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here with this story, but I am struggling to understand how the phrase, I think we demonise rapists, can be taken out of context. I mean, we need to demonise rapists because they are demons, basically.
Well, that is the thing. This you cannot take this sort of thing out of context, because what he said is that we're demonising rapists and that rape is on the spectrum. And even to those who are trying to be the nicest of possible to Q, there's no way that you can defend this bloke's comments whatsoever. There's just this. It's totally indefensible, and it's why his leadership has not said a word. Ross Greer and Gillian Mackay, both co-leaders here in Scotland, have yet to say a word on these comments. Instead, they've stuck Q out, who has smugly put something on Instagram trying to be intellectual about this. There's no intellectual. This is a slap in the face to victims of the most horrific crimes possible. Bluntly, he should not be in our national parliament. The fact he is a disgrace to the parliament, but he should be suspended from the Greens at the very least, and their silence is really speaking volumes up here in Scotland.
What we have reached out to the Greens. We were hoping to talk to someone represented from the Greens to talk about this story. As yet, we've been unsuccessful in that. But what, I mean, in the light of the rape story and the murder story we've been discussing, obviously, over the last 24 hours as well, about the tube rapist in London, what message is this sending to men, Thomas? I mean, you are a man. What message is this sending out, that rape is a spectrum and not all rapes are that bad? I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
I mean, look, bluntly, I think that the good thing for, society as a whole is that people don't really listen to the Greens. So that's a good sign going forward. So Hugh Manivannan can say whatever he wants, but men in particular aren't listening to what the Greens are saying. It's a slap in the face further, though, because what we've seen in Scotland in particular, in the city I represent in Glasgow, is a serious rise in sexual violence and sexual crimes by people who came here illegally. Now, the Greens also support open borders. The Greens also support abolishing prisons here in Scotland, as well as legalising all drugs. So all that these comments are doing is highlighting, I think, to the public who thinks that the Greens are these lovey-dovey, eco-friendly warriors. Actually, they're not. They're dangerous extremists with very serious fundamental values that are totally alien to the culture in this society. And I think these comments from Q are just the latest in a long stream of examples of Green politicians who think that they are intellectual, but actually they're just disgusting. And the way they speak about these issues is a real slap in the face to many women and many victims right across the country.
OK, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. As I said, I want to play devil's advocate with this story, but I'm lost on it. Thomas, thank you so much. That's Deputy Leader of Reform Scotland, Thomas Kerr there. OK, as I said, we have reached out. In a statement, the Scottish Green told GB News that Hugh Manivannan said this clip has been clearly misrepresented and taken out of context from a much longer interview. As a survivor of sexual violence who has spoken openly about his recovery, my recovery, this is him speaking, I am clear that we need to focus on reducing the likelihood of perpetrators of rape reoffending. In a country where rape has the lowest conviction rates of any crime and reoffending continues, this is urgent and important conversation we need to have in Scotland. Any suggestion that my statements minimise or excuse rape or sexual assault are deeply false and misleading. I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. Plenty more coming up on today's show. FIFA has hit out at what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine the organisation and its president, Gianni Infantino. But first, it's time for the news headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Dawn. Good afternoon to our headlines. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected the 15-point plan for Gaza set out by the Board of Peace and has ruled out a Palestinian state while he's in office. Last month, President Trump announced a breakthrough in his plan to end the war, which began with a ceasefire in October, which both Israel and Hamas agreed to. The Prime Minister is expected to announce a series of measures to help people tackle the cost of living, and he will signal his intent to improve high streets across the country as he embarks on a tour of the UK tomorrow. FIFA's accused critics of a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine its president, Gianni Infantino. It comes amid claims UEFA paid off an alleged mistress while he was in charge of European football's governing body, which he denies. Irish crime boss Daniel Kinahan's expected to land in Dublin later this afternoon following his extradition from Dubai. The boxing promoter, one of the world's most wanted men, will stand trial for allegedly directing the activities of an organised crime gang. And large parts of England are under yellow weather warnings, with the fifth heatwave of the year likely to be declared in the coming days. Temperatures could reach 35 degrees by the middle of next week. And you're up to date with the headlines for the moment. More coming up a little later.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Now, remember, please do let me know your thoughts on all the stories we're discussing today. So many comments coming in about the story we have just covered about the Scottish Green MSP and his comments on rape and sexual assault. That you've actually frozen my system, so I'm going to try and plough through them, and I will read as many out as I possibly can. gbnews.com/your say. Join the conversation about whatever you want to talk about, or scan the QR code, because there's lots more coming up on today's show. 1/3 of British families believe that mum and dad should never stop paying for the family trip, even though the kids are grown up and got their own jobs. So should parents always pay for the family holiday with their adult children? We'll be having that debate next. All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'll see you soon.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Plenty of sunshine once again in the south through the rest of today and feeling hotter than yesterday too. Further north though, quite a bit fresher, and there will be some rain for some, courtesy of this cold front just clearing away into the North Sea. High pressure then takes over for Monday and Tuesday, and as well as that, it is set to turn hot once again, particularly in England and Wales. So through the rest of this afternoon, there will be some rain at times across parts of Northern Ireland, also central and southern parts of Scotland, with the rain just gradually fringing southwards into parts of northern England, but tending to turn more showery as we go through the rest of today. One or two heavier bursts are still possible, but many places will actually see quite a bit of dry weather as well. To the south, across Wales, central and southern England, a hot and sunny day to come, temperatures into the low 30s across some southeastern parts of England. But across more northern parts of the UK, quite a different feeling day to come. So for northwest Scotland, where it was very wet yesterday and quite windy, well, much brighter and drier compared to yesterday. There will be some showers around and still fairly blustery in those cool northwesterly winds, but there will be some warm sunny spells too. Likewise for Northern Ireland, and for many parts of Wales and central and southern England, it will remain fine and warm into this evening as well, with some hazy spells of sunshine. Now through tonight, that band of rain continues to make its way slowly and erratically southwards into parts of Wales and the Midlands. Just a band of cloud with the odd shower by this point, though. To the south of that, it will remain dry and clear, and it will be a fairly warm night in the towns and the cities, with temperatures holding up at between 15 and 16 degrees. Further north, though, notice these temperatures widely 10 or 11 degrees in the towns and the cities, and widely into mid to potentially low single figures in the countryside. So a fresh start to the day on Monday for some northern areas, but plenty of sunshine for many through the course of Monday. There will be some build-up of cloud at times, and I think the sunshine will turn a little bit hazier through the afternoon for some western areas, but many will stay dry, just the odd blustery shower in the northeast of Scotland, and not as hot as on Sunday in the south, highs of 26 or 27 degrees.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in, the Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company. OK, the question we're asking now is, would you pay for your grown-up children's holiday? Your kids, no matter how old they are, whether they've got jobs, to come on holiday with you? Well, many parents would, and many kids, grown-up kids, are expecting this. We're asking because a staggering 1/3 of Gen Z think their mum and dad should never stop footing the bill for the family holiday, meaning that the overdraft on the bank of mum and dad could extend to covering holidays for children well into their 30s, even though they've got good jobs. OK, joining me now is broadcaster and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford and writer and commentator Emma Wharf to have this debate. Now, my mum would probably pay not to take me on holiday, to be honest with you, ladies. So let's come to you first. Lucy, I mean, we've got Gen Z expecting for mum and dad to pay for them to go on holiday. Are they right?
Well, Gen Z or Gen Z is typically thought to be 15 to 29. And my fear is that 29 is the new 15, that actually, even if you're in your mid to late 20s, it doesn't actually mean that you've got a job, that you've got a steady income, that you've got your foot on the housing ladder. Life has really changed for people in their 20s. And there's something incredibly bonding about going away with your family, with your parents. Wouldn't necessarily put myself in that category. I think my parents would have paid me to stay away. But if you want to have a harmonious life with your kids growing up, and as they go into adulthood, one of the most beautiful ways you can do that is by going on holiday. And if you have the resources, and let's be clear, nowadays people could live to 110, 120 if you're Gen Z. That is going to be a really long time for you to not have good relationships with your family. Far better when they're in their 20s is to create these moments of really good memory bank building. And if you're going to have to pay for that, I think that's probably something that you will see as a good investment for your later years as well.
OK, Emma, but I mean, you know, Gen Z, you could be in your 20s, you could be earning good money. It's just a little bit selfish. I mean, your parents could be pensioners.
Absolutely. Look, I would have probably, when I was a teenager, I think the most exciting thing was starting to go on holiday on my own at the age of 15, 16, 17. I think I probably, and I adore my parents. Let me just be clear. I adore my parents. There are many ways to have great relationships with your parents, to go out for dinner with them, to spend time with them. Often Gen Z are living at home anyway. But I think that firstly, it's reasonable to expect that if they're working and they have partners, you know, girlfriends and boyfriends, I think it's reasonable to expect that they would pay for themselves on a holiday if they want to join you. Secondly, I think parents and children need time and space apart. And I really, more than anything, Dawn, I feel that Gen Z, it does them a disservice when they are reliant on the bank of mum and dad. I'm not sure where the bank of mum and dad are meant to be getting all this money from, but I think it does them a disservice for themselves. I think that getting independent, getting yourself financially independent, and I totally understand the cost of living has soared in recent decades, it really has, but starting to pay your own rent, starting to look at whether you can maybe afford to rent a room, move out, whether you can even pay your parents a bit of rent, contributing to a family holiday, that kind of thing, it helps you with your own independence. So I think relying on your parents into your mid and late 20s to take you and your girlfriend or you and your boyfriend on holiday, no, that is a step too far.
I mean, Lucy, that's a very good point, isn't it? I mean, it's like, surely learning to pay your own way, and it's part of growing up. And all the time you're relying on your mum and dad, even if you're into your late 20s, you're not really helping.
In an ideal world, parents are meant to do themselves out of a job, for sure. The idea that from adolescence onwards, you start to healthily separate from your parents. And absolutely, just like Emma, when I was in my mid to late teens, the best thing was the idea that I was going to go away on holiday without my parents, because you learn that sense of independence, resilience, and you learn to confront challenges on your own without always at the beck and call. But I sense that this is about something slightly different. This is about not necessarily getting your parents to pay for absolutely everything, but if there is a big treat in the offing, that idea that your parents will pay for you is a way, it's almost like one of the last gifts that they can give you. Things have changed a lot. There are a lot of the boomerang generation who unexpectedly are now back with their parents, which is something that when I was in my 20s was just not a phenomenon at all. So for sure, if you've got the wherewithal to contribute something, maybe to the food bill, to the washing up bill, if the idea that you could contribute is great. But for a one-off holiday, which in many cases this could be, I think it's that moment where your parents are saying, actually, we brought you into this world and we love you and we want to treat you. And that ought to be not something that is shamed, but something that's encouraged.
Emma, it's also the sense of entitlement with this story as well. The fact that Gen Z expect mum and dad to pay, even if they might be pensioners and they're, the youngsters are earning money.
I think so. I really do. And okay, as Gen Z probably can't afford that 2 weeks in the Caribbean or in Mauritius or in the Seychelles, but actually they can probably afford to do what most of us did, which was go interrailing or go to a campsite in France and have a brilliant time, or go to Ibiza and get, absolutely blotto on the beach and dance till dawn and end up eating instant noodles. I mean, the point is you don't have much money, you make it stretch, you deal with the crises, exactly as Lucy says, you deal with the crises, the challenges, losing your passport, ending up with some people that you didn't really know, all of that, or not speaking the language. It's all character building. It's all about growing up. And I really fear for people who into their 20s are being, taken on expensive holidays. Because then what's the treat? Where's the treat? The treat is when you go on your honeymoon and, you can finally afford an expensive holiday. When you're in your teens or 20s, just go and adventure. Do what you can with your money. It's fun.
Exactly. It's all about independence. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. That's broadcaster and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford and writer and commentator Emma Wolf, who certainly sounded like she had some interesting holidays in Ibiza. Emma, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you both of you.
You're still doing it.
Good for you. OK, thank you very much. Let me know what you think about that one. Are you willing to pay for your kids just to get their company? Or are you that generation where you expect your mum and dad to pay for your holiday still, even if you're in your 20s and they're pensioners? I'm Dawn Newsom, Mrs. GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. FIFA has hit out of what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine the organisation and its president. Yeah, he's there again, Gianni Infantino. But before that, if you are in search of some holiday sun, with or without your parents, here is the forecast for some of those top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. If you're heading off on holiday to other parts of Europe, it's a sunny and increasingly hot outlook across many parts of the Mediterranean. There may well be an isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorm, particularly across inland parts of Turkey, Greece and the Balkans, but many parts of Italy and the Western Mediterranean will stay entirely dry on Monday with plenty of strong August sunshine. Into the outlook for the rest of the week, well, the temperatures remain in the mid to high 30s, perhaps even above 40 Celsius in places.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
4 heat waves, weeks without meaningful rain. As the UK heads towards one of its hottest summers on record, the pressure is showing here in Sussex, in the fruit growing across these fields.
Well, the impact of the heat is already visible here. This local grower says that if these extreme temperatures continue, this year's harvest may well be smaller in size.
I don't think there's been another period like this in the history. 3 years ago, we had a tremendous heat wave in the middle of harvest. We were unable to get the fruit to cool down quickly enough. The following year we had a very, very light crop, and the same again this year.
GB News, the People's Channel. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's only all-female chess team, called She Plays to Win, has been promoted to the game's top division, only to be told they must recruit a male player to compete. Now, league rules require every First Division team to include at least one male and one female player, meaning that one of the team's female players could lose her place. I'm joined in the studio by the She Plays to Win chess players, Anusha and Alicia. Great to see you both this afternoon.
Thank you.
So sorry about what's going on. You've been promoted, but you might have to lose one of your teammates. What's going on here?
So essentially, we have fallen victim to this rule that She Plays to Win, our team, has been promoted to the First Division in our league, but now must have a male player as part of the rules.
GB News, the People's Channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, that drought is due to long periods, record periods actually, with no rainfall and high temperatures. The areas that are affected, as you say, over half of England, half of the UK affected by that. The areas being East Anglia, Hertfordshire, the whole of London, Thames Valley, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, Devon and Cornwall, the West Midlands and Wessex, covering Dorset, Somerset, Wiltshire and Gloucestershire. So a huge area impacted by that drought. There is also that amber heat health alert still in place here. That's in place until tomorrow. And temperatures today in the south could reach up to 35 degrees. So people here in Bognor Regis coming to the coast to cool down.
GB News, the People's Channel.
To all of you who voted for GB News to win at the Trick Awards for the 4th year in a row.
The winner is GB News.
Thank you so much for voting for us. It's because of you that we're so proud to be the People's Channel, and it's because of you that we are Britain's news channel.
It's voted for the people who watch us.
Well, we've got the best viewers in the world, haven't we? The most loyal viewers.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Loads of you getting in touch about all the stories, in particular holiday. I think it was Jane, your name was saying, I couldn't wait to start paying to take my parents on holiday because I felt like I owed them the holiday rather than the other way around. And I'm sorry, again, I've lost your name, but you point out that there's a 1.4 rapes every single day in Glasgow, and for an MSP to say the comments he did about rape and we demonise rapists is not going down well with many of you. In any case, it's time to talk about football, and yes, we have to talk about Infantino again, and who better to do that than Aidan McGee. Aidan.
Honestly, we should...
can't wait for silly season to be over and we can put him back in his box, can't we? But nonetheless, the front page of the Telegraph have continued their campaign. Their campaign, I suppose, is me being a bit cynical, really. But nonetheless, FIFA have strongly criticised what it calls a concerted and ongoing effort to undermine the organisation and its president, of course, Gianni Infantino. That's what FIFA said overnight in response to the allegations on the front of the Telegraph that UEFA paid off a mistress. I mean, up to 15 or more than 15 years ago, potentially. And then there was some messaging overnight from UEFA saying that they were going to look into or conduct a full review of all his conduct while he was in situ at UEFA for 16 years. So bear in mind he left in 2016, so he must have joined, 16 years before that. Some of this stuff can go back 25 years. What on earth is the point of that? But that's because they know they've only got a short window to get him out, because once we're out of silly season and all our focus or switch of emphasis goes from the boardroom and from football governance onto matters on the pitch, we'll be onto it, and this story gets relegated back to a second story on the back page rather than on the front page, as it's been too often in the last few weeks, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. I mean, while I hate what he tried to do to football and to us fans, I would rather talk about what's happening on the pitch now.
Yeah.
What's happening on the pitch now, Aidan?
Well, look, not strictly on the pitch, but it relates to what's on the pitch very strongly. Arsenal made a signing yesterday, £75 million for Newcastle captain Bruno Guimaraes. I felt they needed to make some kind of statement. They didn't get Morgan Rogers, of course. He went to Chelsea. They were linked strongly with Vinicius Junior. I never thought they were going to get him in all reality, but it seems they were used as a very useful tool by the agent to get some more money out of Real Madrid for their client. I couldn't really have seen him at Arsenal, if I'm honest with you. But look, they missed out on those two. How close they were, I'm not really sure. But they've got the Newcastle captain, top player. And what's interesting is that he has a history of having a row, having a bust-up with Declan Rice when they played each other. And apparently they reached out to each other beforehand and playfully mended their feud over text before linking up together at Newcastle and at the Emirates, obviously. Let's hear what Bruno Guimaraes said yesterday. This is a piece that was put out yesterday by Arsenal.
You've had many battles with the Arsenal midfield during your time at Newcastle. What can you tell us about our midfield?
Very good, very good. Rice sent me a message. Come here and please no more fights now with friends.
Well, 75 million, I'd make up with anyone, to be honest with you. But, hey, we had the Carabao Cup yesterday as well.
Yeah, good stuff. I thought it was successful having it in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday. I mean, look at the attendance at West Ham versus Portsmouth, 53,000. Quite decent attendance at QPR v Millwall yesterday as well. QPR managing to miss 4 penalties in the shootout. Southampton back in action for the first time since Spygate. I don't know about you, but when that manager stands in front of me, if I was one of the players, Tonda Ecker giving me directions, I'm thinking about him and how much money he lost me by the spying episode last week. I'm not sure I'm going to be taking orders from him, but he does await his fate as regards a ban. We'll hear more on that in the next week or two.
Indeed. Aidan McGee, thank you so much for summing it up so perfectly, and thank you so much for your company this lunchtime, and indeed for yesterday lunchtime as well. I'm Dawn Newsom, this is GB News. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time enormously, and thank you for your comments. I apologise for not reading as many out as I probably could have done. So many getting in touch though. But please don't go anywhere, because the wonderful Nana is up next, and she's always got a brilliant show for you. All of that after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. The dry theme is set to continue for most of us as we go into the new working week, and there will be some strong spells of sunshine through the day on Monday. We have had a little bit of rain on Sunday, courtesy of a cold front that's clearing away to the east now. High pressure takes over for much of the coming week and temperatures will build, so turning hot for some by Tuesday and indeed Wednesday and Thursday. Out there this evening, some showery rain across parts of northern England. That's courtesy of that weak cold front, so a few dribs and drabs of rain perhaps across parts of North Wales and the Midlands through the early hours of Monday morning. Otherwise, though, many places will stay dry. It will turn quite chilly across more northern parts of the UK, temperatures in the countryside dipping into single figures. But in the south, lows of between 15 and 16 degrees in the towns and the cities, so a fairly warm night to come. As well as that, there may well be 1 or 2 mist and fog patches forming later in the night, particularly across southwest England, but those won't take very long to clear at all in that strong August sunshine. So a fine day to come for most of England and Wales, a bit of cloud around at times, but many places having plenty amounts of sunshine as well. 1 or 2 isolated showers for Northern Ireland and the west of Scotland, though most places dry. Fairly frequent showers, though, pushing into Shetland and Orkney, and here those showers will be accompanied by quite a brisk northwesterly wind. So here it will feel disappointingly cool once again for August, but otherwise with light winds and, as I say, a good deal amounts of sunshine. I am expecting temperatures to rise quite quickly, so it will be feeling warm by the afternoon, temperatures in the low to mid-20s for many, and perhaps 26 or 27 in the far south, but not as hot in the south as on Sunday. So a fine picture to begin the new working week for many, and it stays that way as we go into Tuesday too. Possibly just a little bit of patchy light rain and drizzle pushing into western Scotland for a time on Tuesday, but otherwise a lot of sunshine through the middle part of the week and indeed into Thursday too. Blue skies, cloudless conditions for many, and turning very hot in parts of England and Wales by Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures into the mid-30s.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome to Orlis Santi by Domes Resorts, and there's just 2 weeks left to see how you too could be enjoying the 5-star lifestyle. First, you can bank an incredible £60,000. We'll also give you a fine gold bullion bar worth over £5,000.
For a chance to win, text GOLD to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB22 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 21st of August. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I think GB News is completely unique in the way that we interact with our viewers.
Our audience aren't afraid to have their say. They want their voices heard now, and they've got a channel where that can happen.
I find more and more as I'm wandering around, people come up to me and they say, we saw you on television. I say, oh yes, on what? On GB News.
Hello, are you the famous Sue? The whole crew hid me here now. We came to celebrate.
It's our job to be the eyes and ears of the viewers.
They are part of the GB News family, and I'm pleased to say it's a very large family.
And if people go to the time and trouble of listening and watching, then we've got to do a good job for them.
Well, I'm here, right in the epicentre of the protest.
Here we go again.
You just tuned in. Where have you been?
It is raucous here tonight.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akwe. It's 3 o'clock. And for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next few hours, former political advisor Claire Pearsall and GB News senior political commentator Nigel Nelson. Coming up in my niggle.
We're just going to be relentless. People want to see this issue addressed. I heard that on the doorsteps in Makerfield. But we also need to build a system that offers safe routes for people as well, because that also takes away the selling point of the gangs.
Yes, Andy's armada continues as more than 500 small boats migrants cross the channel this weekend. We've got a new Prime Minister. Will the same old problems sink Labour as he's planning his Make Her Feel Good tour, which is what I've made up. I think that's quite good. Reform's Deputy Leader